Today I have Brittany and Michael from UAF Residence Life with me, and we're going to talk a lot about living on campus and what it's going to be like this fall. But first, we want to talk about ice cream because we have this fabulous ice cream background. So tell me what you guys are having today. I don't have any, which is a little sad, but I did have some last night, so that sort of counts.
Yeah, I was like, I'll go first.
Yeah.
I realized I was like, I have Ben & Jerry's half-baked froyo. I won't show it to you because I put like a Kleenex on it and to keep my hands warmer. I realized on the way home from the store, I'm like, froyo's not ice cream. And so I think I just wanted to try it. It's really good. It definitely isn't as creamy as ice cream, but I couldn't resist. I never tried their froyo.
I think it counts. I think it counts. It's Ben & Jerry's. I mean, come on.
Right.
Oh, so good. So good.
How about you, Michael?
Ben & Jerry's salted caramel core. I didn't have ice cream, and so Brittany picked me up. I said caramel and chocolate, and she got me caramel and chocolate, so thank you.
I don't think I've tried that one yet. I think I've tried the hazelnut core one, and it was like, holy moly.
Yeah, their core ones are intense.
Yeah. Or they used to have a cookie butter core one, I think, too.
I think I've had that one. It was really good.
That's incredible. I love anything that is Biscoff, so.
So good.
Indeed. Well, so, boy, I imagine you guys are just incredibly busy right now in residence life. Even in a normal year, this is a really busy time because we're getting ready for our students in the fall, but there's lots of other work going on this fall in particular, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say I need to give kudos to Michael. He started on Monday from Texas to Alaska during a pandemic. Very exciting. And so, yeah, all the resident directors were off contract for the summer. They started training on Monday, so we've been doing just a deep dive into all things residence life. We'll still side planning for what residence life looks like during COVID. So
yeah.
Great.
So what do you think? What do you think of Fairbanks, Michael, coming up here? I mean, I know it's been raining a lot, but what's your first impression?
It was bigger than I thought it was and smaller than I thought it was at the same time. I don't really know how that works, but that's kind of how it worked out there. But I also just love the accessibility to the nature, like through the hiking and biking and all the different trails and that kind of stuff. I was lucky enough to meet my neighbor who took me out fishing like right away, which was super great.
Did you catch anything?
No, I'm a very poor fisherman. It was like my first time actually fishing.
You'll get better at it.
Here's hoping. I would love to do it more. We went out to one of the rivers and did that there. So it's been good so far, and I love rain. So like I haven't been mad about that.
Oh, nice. Well, if you love rain, this summer's a good place to be in Fairbanks. At least the gardens don't need watering, right? Yeah. Definitely. So tell me a little bit about what planning is going on and what I understand there's going to be there's fewer people going to be living in the residence halls, and there's some pretty big changes for kind of how things are going to be configured, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, right now up to this point, and we'll continue, of course, has been pretty heavy logistics planning.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy, like, okay, pivot here, depending on the ever-changing circumstances around us. And so, yeah, we're doing, in all the residence halls, except for Cutler specifically, everyone is in their own room, which is a change, right? So no roommates unless you're in Cutler. And that's because there's only 4 people max ever sharing like an entrance or a restroom or anything like that. So that's kind of the first big change. And we've been moving towards that for a while. But then we're putting and working with a lot of folks for a lot more safety and community safety policies specifically, as far as making sure that not only do our residents know, but anyone who visits has the opportunity to know what our expectations are about social distancing, about like washing your hands, all those good things, information around like guests, and just really being careful and thoughtful that we're going to open up the halls to a good amount of folks. So how do we do that carefully? So we've been sending our residents emails with just, again, heavy logistics like check-ins. It's all on a calendar this year. And so,
so it's scheduled. You actually schedule when you come to check into your room?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Because we were like, how do we make sure that like not everybody comes at the same time, which is totally what we do normally. Yeah. It's a big move-in event. And so we worked with admissions, new student orientation. So first year actually move in Wednesday, the 19th, all the way up till orientation starts on Friday. And then returners, they still can start moving in on Thursday, but they really move in Thursday to Sunday. And so we've spread out, it's still a 24-hour calendar because we know folks come in at different times. And then we have, I think, 7 spots across campus every 15 minutes. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, and so folks check in. We'll do that remotely with staff. We'll actually give them their Polar Express at the time they check in. We're able to work with the Office of the Bursar on that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then we ask them to just have 1 or 2 helpers who can help them move in for about an hour. Yeah. So
that probably cuts down on like traffic and in elevators or stairwells, and just tries to make sure people aren't real close to each other. Because I know one of the big things that we're talking about throughout campus in this new environment is trying to make people understand the idea of staying 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
To try and increase that safety and keep everybody healthy. So that's interesting. So scheduling. So that's something, if students are living on campus, they are getting that message from you guys and are being asked to schedule stuff. Somebody here in the comments asked whether or not we're capping the number of people able to live on campus. I assume there's probably a natural cap if we reach the capacity of our 1 person, 1 room. That would be the cap. Are we close to that, or how are we doing on capacity?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say we're getting close to it. So you have employee, family, and graduate housing, and then we have those, what we call single student housing, but it's the residence halls and Cutler included in that. And so we are getting really full in employee, family, and graduate housing, and we have been continuing to be. Mm-hmm. And the last I heard for the single student housing is we had less than 100 spots left.
Yeah.
And that shifts. Our cancellation deadline to get like your full refund, full deposit is July 31st. And so we know, that's coming up, but we still have some time where folks can decide, depending on their circumstances, that they don't want to come, or other folks can still sign up well into August.
Yeah. I know we encourage people to sign up early, knowing that, if they change their mind or something changes in their circumstances, that's, that's an option for them as well. Awesome. So, so students are going to be scheduled as they move in. It sounds like orientation is going to be kind of virtual this year, from what I understand. So, but there still will be orientation for new students, so they'll be able to get their legs under them and, figure out how to navigate UAF, which is awesome. I know that there's, I don't think it's finalized yet, but I think I know the state of Alaska has some testing requirements for people coming in from outside the state. And you probably went through that, Michael, when you came into the state. Did you get tested before you came, or at the airport, or sorry?
Yeah, I did. I did a test before I came out, which came back negative, so we're good.
Awesome.
And then I need to get another one done this week or within this next week, and then submit that in to be solid.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're asking students from out of state to do, if possible, is to get that test before they come up, right?
Yeah, because otherwise we know if they don't, and they have to wait on it before you get your results. You have to quarantine. And so just knowing that it's already tricky to come here during COVID and maintain social distance and not be in groups, to quarantine, right? Like that affects your classes and your ability to go physically to like get your mail or get your books. And so, we're definitely encouraging folks to do that before they get here so that they can have their results as they're getting in here. And Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say for the process, like for anybody who needs to go through that, I did my test through CVS and it was super easy. So like if you have a CVS near you, you can just go online and you can sign up for an appointment there and just go through the drive-through. And it took me like 15 minutes in and out, easy, quick, not painful. People weren't shoving stuff up my nose. Like it was self-administered. So that was nice too. So would highly recommend that process. It was free for anybody that needs to do that before coming out.
Yeah, I had a colleague in Anchorage whose family traveled outside and came back, and they were able to go to, they found like an urgent care center that was able to do it for them too. So there's, those sorts of people sometimes think about, just like the hospital or their normal physician or something like that. But there's a lot of options through things like, pharmacies maybe, or urgent care centers. A lot of times they have some of those rapid tests and stuff like that, and it can actually be pretty accessible. So there's quite a few options out there for people, for sure. But we also recognize it can be challenging to find a test in your community. Looks like somebody is asking about how recent does the COVID test need to be. Test results are taking up to 10 days. There is an option coming into the state where you can show them that you have had a test and you're waiting for your results. I think they asked that they be within 72 hours, the results be within 72 hours. But I think anybody who has questions about state of Alaska testing should probably visit the state's website. We're going to have some guidance, I think, for students coming pretty soon.
That's what I was going to say is don't refresh your email after I say this, right? But we're absolutely knowing that we're coming up on move-in. And so we're really getting together some really clear guidelines and options as far as what to expect that should come out in the next few days or week or so.
Yeah.
That'll be helpful.
I know that we're working on something in our communications team just to kind of try and simplify the testing requirements down for students, sort of a checklist or something. So everybody definitely watch your emails.
Yeah.
But there's lots and lots of options. It's not just you must only do this thing. There's quite a few options, even in the state's mandate. So that's a good thing. Somebody's asking about food vendors, cafeteria, coffee shops and stuff still being available for students. I mean, yes, we're going to have food service, of course, on campus. I think most of the bigger locations are going to be open. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the update I heard is all areas in the Wood Center would be open, as well as the campus cache. And then that they were evaluating hours, and they're still doing testing for what that looks like, right? Because normally in Dine 49, it's hard to get 6 feet distance. So how they're playing that out is still, I think they're running through those scenarios, but there is food service and there are meal plans for sure this fall.
Yeah, students maybe aren't exposed as much to our facility services crews and the work they do directly, but I can certainly say that the folks there are doing a ton of work right now trying to figure out exactly what you said, sort of how to space out tables so that people can maintain that 6 foot distance when they're eating. And I know, even last spring, and I know we're going to have this in the fall too, there's options for grab and go and takeout and things like that for people. So lots of options, lots and lots of people looking for solutions and finding lots of flexible and creative ways to make things work.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've seen so many people on this campus come together creatively to figure out what do we do about lounges and restrooms and outside spaces? And can we put together care kits for students? What can we do to make sure everyone knows that we're here for them and that we all play a role in this together? And yeah, it's a lot of behind the scenes things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those I think I saw the list of the stuff that's going to be in those care kits. Those are going to for sure everybody that's moving into residence halls, right? And they have, what all do they have in them?
I printed it out, so I went.
I know they have the masks because we ordered a whole bunch of them to go into those kits and to be distributed. But I know they have other stuff in them too.
Yeah, no, I totally got it. Okay, ready. So the mask, like you said, refillable hand sanitizer, refillable disinfectant spray bottle, microfiber cloth, a stylus, and a thermometer.
Nice. Yeah, that thermometer is interesting because one of the things that I know that we're going to be asking everybody, not just students but employees too, is just to kind of keep a close eye on how they're feeling. You know, and if they're feeling a little off, maybe take your temperature, see if if you have a temperature or not, because it's really important for people to stay home if they're sick, even a little bit sick. I know I've heard anecdotally, cases where people didn't think, they felt like they just had even just a minor, sniffle or something, and it ended up being, eventually they tested positive. So, well, we're all going to have to take care of ourselves a little more.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. That's so important. Taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other. That's how we are able to operate in the fall. So that's so important.
Yeah, I agree. Dana is asking about students living in Cutler. It's still 4 students. That's correct.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, just for those folks who aren't familiar with our facilities, a floor in Moore Hall has 27 rooms and they share a common bathroom. And normally 19 of those rooms, I was like, I got to do the math, are doubles. And so those all have roommates. So those we reduced down so that the people interacting, coming up the stairs to that floor, going through the hallway, using that restroom is much smaller than it has been in the past. But in Cutler, so for Cutler apartments, the most folks, like there's a common door that goes to 2 apartments, but most of the apartments just have one entrance that those 4 folks will go into, and they have the kitchen, the living room, and the bathroom. And so because of all of those reasons, that it's so many less people interacting in a common area or shared space, those are actually able to have 4 people in them still.
It's kind of like, you're kind of establishing almost like a new family unit to some degree within those apartments.
It's a good way to think of it,
yeah. So what else? What else do students need to know? Is there anything different they need to bring with them this year that maybe they might not think about? Or anything else they need to do as far as planning for themselves?
That's a good question. I don't know how many of y'all saw, but there's a mask policy that came out through the chancellor today. And so definitely being really familiar with that. That's something we're absolutely taking seriously for all the same reasons, like community safety, right? And so I think really getting in the mindset that things will be different, but that we're committed as a campus and definitely as a residence life department. I didn't get to share, but our student staff are starting on August 10th. And then kind of stagger start after that, doing virtual training. But a huge focus of our time, once the student staff get here, is planning for ways that we can still support and be engaged with all of our students on campus. So it will be different. It won't always be easy. You're gonna wanna do the things you've always wanted to do before. So I would say just adapting your mindset and becoming flexible as we're, like I said at the beginning, changing as the things around us change as well. So
yeah, I think if there's one thing we've all learned throughout the first 6 months of this pandemic, it's that you got to learn to be kind of go with the flow on stuff, because things do change real quickly. And I think that we've learned a lot as an organization, certainly over the last 6 months. And like you said, there's so many people working to make sure we can have a safe campus as possible. Wayne here asked about HVAC systems and things like that. And yes, yeah, definitely, Wayne, again, the facilities folks have been working hard all summer doing testing in our buildings and things like that of HVAC systems and evaluating those sorts of things. So I don't know the technical aspects of it because I am not an HVAC expert, but I do know that there's been work going on in that area. Like I said, those folks have just really been on top of it.
Yep.
Definitely. You know, there's been lots of discussions. You were talking earlier about sort of adjusting your mindset a little bit on this. There's been lots of discussions or questions just broadly, I think, among college students about sort of, you know, what's it going to be like? How will like activities or socializing work and things like that? And there's not necessarily any real direct answers on that, but I do know that there's lots of creative work being done to try and figure out like virtual stuff. How are you guys seeing that moving forward into fall?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that acknowledging that, you know, our first hurdle is getting everyone here and getting them here safely. You know, and then we kind of can settle in and reevaluate the things that we're doing. But at first, our initial focus is going to be on folks' physical health and safety, right? Like coming in from everywhere in a pandemic, that is definitely our main priority. But then the next thing that we focus on is that sense of belonging that we know is so important to students in order to be successful at college. And so I was like, I don't want to give too many spoilers. I know that Residence Life is brainstorming. I also know that folks within the Wood Center and Center for Student Engagement are working with the student orientation to really put in place some things that are going to help folks feel more connected during a time when you're really isolated. So yeah, it's really like basic needs, and then we'll kind of work up from there.
Yeah. You know, as we've done these Ice Cream Thursdays over the summer and just in other, you know, in other professional settings or even personal settings, I think people have really adapted to sort of this virtual environment too, and are getting more used to interacting with people in that way. And it is interesting because it kind of opens up it does kind of open up your social circles, even though oddly enough, you know, it does, because, you know, you can interact very easily with people maybe you wouldn't have naturally interacted with before. Right. So it is a new space to develop social connections in.
That's definitely an area that, like, even in the week that I've been here, that conversation as far as providing the services and that sense of belonging that Brittany was talking about, a lot of that focuses on how we can fully utilize our virtual resources, the internet, all the different applications out there to still provide that sense of community, even if it might not be through in-person interactions. And I'm excited about it because I feel like, you know, as technology and the ways we have to connect with each other have developed, we've developed with that, but there's always been the fallback and the expectation of normalizing like in-person communication, right? So I definitely feel like we're gonna be able to explore some stuff that maybe we hadn't fully utilized before, to be able to provide that sense of community. So I'm excited for the possibilities that'll come out of that.
Yeah. Another huge advantage of UAF and Fairbanks and Alaska in general is just, you know, we always have outdoors. I mean, to some degree, there's, yes, it gets cold in the wintertime here, but you see people doing stuff outdoors even when it's real cold. You know, so, and that's something that's been really important, just broadly for our state, and is sort of something that really binds us together, I think, in Alaska in general, is that sort of love for, you know, going outside, experiencing, you know, we have amazing trails at UAF. We have the view from our campus is just incredible. It should be like on every Alaska brochure. And so, you know, that's stuff that you can do regardless, I guess.
Yeah. And I was like, I did the Denali Highway with a friend this summer, and we biked it, which normally if you do that, there are cars and campers and like there's so much dust everywhere. And so what we commented on that multiple times, just how like peaceful it was. And we were able to at campgrounds like talk to different folks. Most of them were from the state. And there was just also this like even though it's a pandemic, we're just thankful that we still have access to all this beauty. And it feels a little bit like, well, now it's all ours. Like it's kind of, right?
I thought the same thing. I went out to the Denali Highway like couple weeks ago, and I absolutely had that same thought. I was like, there's probably not going to be hardly anybody out there.
It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's also like, when you come up to Alaska and then there's not as many folks around too, you get to experience in a different way, which is a treat for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we have just a couple more minutes left. Is there anything else you want to make sure you share with the community or students that are planning on coming up? Anything I forgot to ask you?
I would say, and this is just, again, back to that mindset thing, being like really vigilant about understanding the expectations before you get here, because it is, and I definitely like feel this because everything's changing all the time. And I'm like, okay, where am I focusing? What is our current practice? And so before you come up here, feel free to confirm those things and reread those emails. Call us if you have any questions, because the flexibility and adaptability we've been able to provide in the past on some things, just based on the community safety aspects, we won't be able to exercise that in the same way. And so we're asking folks to partner with us and really and making sure that we're all each doing what's asked, and then to always reach out if you have questions, because we'd rather you ask a week before, 2 weeks before, do I get this? Is this right? Instead of just assuming like we're here to help. So read your email, be vigilant about all the changes coming out, and then get ready. We're excited to see students again, for sure.
I know. Campus is just so much different when the students get here. You can just feel it immediately. There's so much more energy and everything just feels awesome when the students get here. So I know we're all excited about that. I'd encourage people also to visit our UAF COVID website. It's uaf.edu/COVID-19. We're going to be adding a whole bunch of information there over the course of the next week or so. I know Residence Life has a page on there as well with tons of good information. And so check back on that often, because some of those sort of basic expectations and stuff like that are going to start to show up there. So folks can be prepared as they head up and join us up here in Fairbanks. All right. Well, thank you guys. Welcome, Michael. I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to get started.
I hope you get a chance to catch a fish at some point in the next year.
One day.
You'll do it. You'll get it. Ice fishing is good here too. So you got time.
Yeah.
All righty. Very good. Well, thanks guys. You have a great rest of your afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Marmy.